Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Alfredo. Thank you for joining me and visiting with Living the Gourmet. It's a pleasure to have you. So I'm speaking with Alfredo Martinez, and you are the Director of Beverage for Benihana, Ra Sushi, and Haru Restaurants. And it's a pleasure to have you, and you're going to discuss World Sake Day?
That is correct. Yes, thank you so much for having me. That's right. We wanted to spread the word that October 1st is the beginning of what they call in Japan Nihonshu No Hi, or Sake Day, and it's basically a worldwide celebration of Japanese culture and obviously sake. So we're very excited to be here to talk a little bit about it.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you know what I think you should do first is a lot of people don't really know what sake is. What type of a drink is it?
So sake, and I think the biggest misconception out there is that sake is actually a rice wine, and so they immediately think about the wine production, but in fact it's actually brewed more like a beer. Obviously, you know, the main ingredient is rice, but water, yeast, and koji, which is a special Japanese malt, is what creates the magic. And so I think that's the biggest misconception. The important part to remember about sake is that it's also gluten-free, sulfite-free. So it's a very, very pure beverage, very old beverage as well. And so, you know, for people who perhaps are a little gluten intolerant or don't react well to sulfite, it's a very good choice for them to have. And I guess the other misconception would be that sake has to be hot. But nowadays you find beautiful sake that is chilled, that goes from the light and delicate to the complex and elegant, all the way to the sweet flavor profile.
And what do people normally serve sake with?
So, you know, that's another thing. You know, a lot of the times we think that it only goes well with Japanese food, but when you think about a fuller-bodied, richer sake, it goes great with things like steak and grilled chicken and meat.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yes, it does. It does. And, you know, even there's some sweeter sake, sparkling sake. At Ra Sushi, our restaurant, we celebrate with all different kinds of types of sake. So the one thing we have is we have a sparkling sake. We have, obviously, hot sake. Sparkling sake goes also well with cheese, believe it or not. So, and obviously, you know, with our menu it goes great because we have sushi rolls that are, you know, spicier, like the one we're doing, or more flavorful, if you may. We have a spike sushi roll that we're featuring during the month of October. That is actually the tuna is marinated in sake, and then we serve it with a little shot of sake as a pairing. So I think it's a very good, interesting adventure for our guests.
Oh, that sounds real good. Now, are these rolls hard to make?
Some of them require a little bit more expertise, especially cutting and slicing the fish, but actually rolling sushi is not so difficult. In fact, we actually have our classes on the 21st because it's our 21st birthday at Ra Sushi. And so if you're interested in learning more about how to actually make sushi and drinking sake, it's a great opportunity to go there. But it takes a little bit of practice, and I think the most important thing is to know what ingredients and tools you need, and then once you figure that out, you're in good shape. So we teach you how to do that. But basically, the most important thing that I think most Japanese chefs would tell you about sushi is that the importance of cooking rice the proper way.
Right. But that is important. And, you know, people think it's so easy, but it really is. You have to get it just right. You don't want it too hard or too soft, kind of like the Three Bears. But and now I have a question. Does the American palate more or less make it where you want to make it a little less spicy or a little more on the sweet side or whatever? Does that influence, or do you keep it authentic?
No, so we try to do a combination of both. So you would see that we will offer, you know, traditional Japanese dishes the way they would be prepared in Japan. So you have, you know, yakitori sushi in itself, so it has to be traditional, and then we go a little crazy with some combinations. So in some cases you will find things that we even add some fruit sauces to it, or you will play with different, you know, level of spice as well, because I think spicy flavors are becoming more ubiquitous,
Yes.
you know, with all the foods that we have from all over the world. So I think people enjoy and crave spice, but most importantly, we're trying to aim for good flavor. So again, it's a personal thing, it's a personal choice, but we try to do our best in giving something for everyone.
And there's so much you could do with spice. You could go sweet and spicy, salty and spicy, the little bit of vinegar and spice. So there's a lot that you can combine with that. And that's fun playing with flavors. But now, for one more, how do you cheers? How do you toast someone for World Sake Day?
Well, that's a very good question. So, a couple of things that we try to share during our classes and our restaurants with our servers is that in Japan, there are certain traditions that we love to talk about. One of them is the fact that if I'm drinking sake with you, Catherine, I will never let you pour your own sake into your own glass. I would always take the initiative to pour sake for you. Then I will set the bottle, and then traditionally you would do that the same to me, and it just shows a sign of hospitality and caring for each other. Whether if you're met the person for the first time or you're being with them for 20 years, it doesn't matter. The same rules apply. Then, there's obviously the other fun part of toasting, and basically the word that most people know is kanpai, which is basically the translation to cheers. And at our restaurants, at Sushi, because it's just a very high energy environment, people love to do sake bombs. People do sake shots. During the whole month of October, we have $1 sake shots. So, people can come in and taste a little bit of that, and obviously our spiked sake roll, is going to be featured then. So, it's just the same principles of hospitality that you find in an Italian family, being loud and energetic, apply in Japanese, but with some traditions and some color around it that is important to us to preserve.
Oh, that sounds nice. And coming from an Italian family, I know exactly what you're talking about. So I really like that, and I like that it's elegant, it's respectful, and I like the way they have the tradition and carry it on no matter how long you know the person. No matter how long you know someone, you should never let the elegance and the respect go by the wayside. I believe in that. It just makes you feel better. And I really appreciate speaking with you, and I hope that my readers will try this sake and also incorporate some of the traditions, because it's never too late to learn something new.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I enjoyed speaking with you, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye-bye now.
Bye, Catherine.